to Loshin, Torah any time. Thank the Rabbeinu Shalom. The time is now. Thank the Eibishter. We're going to talk a little bit about Bטחון in the Eibishter. Bטחון in the Eibishter. Tzias Mitzrayim now is the biggest day Siratzim. Now it's alive. It's in the Parshas. You're mechazik and Amuna now. These days you're mechazik and Amuna. You learn those Parshas. They should be real. Tzias Mitzrayim. I just had somebody that they called me up 3 weeks ago. Somebody had a matzah. He's totally out. No. You know, and I said, no, Bטחון. Today I got the report. There has been the person starting to move and to respond and to chop. They don't believe it because you have Bטחון, you get Yeshuas. No, shidduch, a girl, 29, I think. They did something in Bטחון a few months later. A kala. Another one from Eretz Yisrael. He told me to come to the chasana. And this girl, what she did, they're giving me credit. I think the girl, she started making, before she met the chasan, she started making, preparing dishes for the Tanoim. She started baking before she met him. Madreges and Bטחון. And she said, I was there at the chassan as such happy people. From Yerushalayim. By the way, they gave me $500. Anybody interested in getting Yeshuas? Doesn't hurt. I don't ask for money, but I take it. I have a shita. Lo'ilam tikach. Lo'ilam tikach. I have a Kabbalah for my Rebbe. Lo'ilam tikach. We're in Parshas Beshalach Tavshin Pei Aleph, Rabbi say. Yom Aleph. Pleasure to have you here. We have a packed house already. It's all packed. They don't know anything. There were only 4 people. I'm joking, Rabbi say. So get the packed house. It's packed with the Eibishter. How can you feel alone when you have the Rabbeinu Shalom? How can you ever feel alone? There's a story with I don't believe he was Jewish. He went, I think he's the person who discovered the South Pole. And he was alone. And the story goes, if I have all the details, in a freezing south, it's crazy cold, the weather is merciless, it's a shrek to live there, it's impossible. And the Eibishter makes penguins over there, and they have a ball. Penguins are doing fine, freezing, they're good. The Eibishter gives them padding, and they fly around, and they're happy creatures. It's unbelievable. He gives them plenty of fish to eat. They roll on their bellies. They have nice big bellies. You know why they look like tuxedos? The penguin looks like he's wearing a tuxedo. Why? You know why he has a tuxedo? He has one enemy, the lion seal. He loves to fress him up. And these penguins, they hang around this icy area. There's no food. There's no trees. There's no grits. Where do they live off, these penguins? They take a dive into the cold water. They don't mind it because Hashem gives them all the padding they need to withstand the most impossible cold, icy cold. And they're fine. They love it. Hashem made them like that. I once had, right here in Lakewood, I don't know, it's Sar Balachayim, they took one of these husky dogs, half wolf, half dog, whatever, one of those. The owner said, he don't like it so much over here. He's got too much fur. He don't belong here. They put him in the house with air conditioning. When it's hot, he's not comfortable. Because the Eibishter made him have fur because he lives in cold places. And the Eibishter gives every individual exactly what he needs. And what I need, for me, I need a Sha'ar B'Tachon. That's my Gan Eden. Sha'ar B'Tachon. Eibishter gives me plenty of that stuff and sweet people to talk to, holy Jews. They listen to this heilige stuff. This is my Ga'elam Haba. Sha'ar B'Tachon. Anyway, the one says, Rabban Kodla, give a vad and Musa. He takes the Shar B'tachon and he told stories. That was the Musa, Rabban Cutler, when he gave a vad. What did he pick out of all the Musa Sfarim? Chayvus Havavas. And what is Chayvus Havavas? Shar B'tachon. Rabbi say, Shar B'tachon, Gan Eden HaTachton, enjoy. And all your problems go in the garbage. You stop worrying about everything and anything. And you're happy exactly the way it is. I have the Eivishter, don't bother me. I need. What do Hashem Roy Eloi Echsor? You're not missing anything. You have the Rabbeinu Shalom. You have the Eivishter. What more do you need? Anyway, so why did they look like tuxedos? These creatures in the South Pole. There's thousands. They cuddle together. They're nice to each other. You know, they whistle. They have to find each other. It's the husband, the wife. They have deals with each other. One goes walking, I don't know, for months. He rolls on his belly after time and he disappears, walks miles, and he goes into the water and he freshes up a half year food supply, a couple of months of food. And then he comes back and his Rebbitzon's waiting for him. Rebbitzon, I'm here. How does he know? There's thousands of them bunched together, these penguins. The thousands, they warm up against each other. And you know what they do? The Eivishter gives them the seichel. Now you go. You go in the middle. You go in the middle. It's warmer over there. I'll stand by the side. And they keep switching around. Look at that. They have a certain benevolence between each other. I don't know. There's something about them. They stand upright. That's an Adam, stand straight. I don't know what. They're not an Adam, but there's something there. Whatever. The Eivishter has billions of reasons. Well, you're dealing with the Eivishter. What Eivishter? There's no one like him. Ain't Tur Kelikeno. These beautiful creatures, these penguins. So why is he black in the back? And why is he white on the bottom? So because when he takes a dive to fresh up food, he eats and eats l'netzach. And the ocean is teeming with fish and all kinds of creatures, water creatures that he loves. Ice cream, that's his ice cream. He loves it. He eats his head off. And then he comes out, he's all, no more food for a few months. The food's sitting on him. He'll be fine. He's not worried. So, but anyway, what does he need those colors for? I'll tell you why. Because the leopard seal's out to kill him. Leopard seal, that's his food. And so when the leopard seal's on the bottom, you don't see him because he thinks the top of the water is white. The sky's up there. So he's got a white belly. So you don't chop that there's a penguin over there. You don't chop, the leopard seal don't chop. So he's protected. And if the lion, what does he call, the leopard seal is on top of him, he doesn't notice him either because his top is dark. He's got a dark, so he looks at the tuxedo color, white and black. So he needs to be white in the belly and dark on the top. So the leopard seals don't see him from the bottom because he looks like the bottom of the ocean. And if the leopard seal's underneath him, he don't see him either. He thinks he's just part of the whiteness that's on top of the water. Look at that. And you know how they get to see each other? They whistle. And there's thousands, 1,000 of them together, bunched together, and each one has his own whistle. And as Rebbitzon hears the whistle, I'm coming, blah, blah, blah. And he has an egg, they take the egg, and the egg goes from one pouch to the other. If they let the egg be exposed 1 second to that freezing weather, the egg's dead. The new Babel is finished. So they know they shifted one into the other guy's pouch. And then their mother's milk is, now the Babel goes, the mother has a certain tongue, a special type of tongue. I forgot how it goes. There's a reason for this. And there's some milk inside the mother's mouth. And the baby taps and gets the milk. I don't know what I say. Hey, Tur Kelikeno, look what we have, the Eibishter. Look who he is. What he can do, he can give you everything in the world. The Eibishter can give you everything. Don't stop. Reb Nosson Bach Zatzal told me, Lass dich stop the tate, alles get the tate. Don't let your father go and give you everything. Don't be spoiled. If you fall down here and you're in the garbage can, you can't find the shit, so you have problems with anger, with kedusha, with learning, with Don't chapes pilas. Keep davening, you'll get everything. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. I had this. I once had a situation that was hopeless. And I got from Adam Godel, don't stop. I didn't stop, and boom, everything turned around. It didn't make no sense. You keep going, and you'll get everything you want. I know a younger man, he had terrible shalom bias I just met the guy. For years, I met him a couple of years ago. What he had, I avenged my worst enemies to have what he had. Whatever, I don't want to talk about the details. It was very, very unpleasant, is an understatement, what he had there. And there was no way out of it. His wife that was it. And he davened and 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 davened. And I met him just recently. What's the news with you? Oh, it's all turned around. Whoa, how'd that happen? Whatever. It's gone. He said, I kept davening. And I never gave up because I believed that davening must work. I had the same thing with my Rebbe Abaiza. You keep davening, Nachamel, Yitzchar, Godel. Like the Mama Leah, she didn't stop, and she got everything. Okay, now, Rabbi Say, we're hitting Shabbos Parshas Beshalach. And I have sweet memories that I'd like to share with you. Of 30 years ago, there was the Gulf War. 30 years ago, we thought that Saddam Hussein, Yamach Shemai, was the president of Iraq. And he was a Marusha first class who claimed to be a Gilgal of the Nebuchadnezzar Russia. And either he knew history or whatever, he said, good. I would suspect it's true. Nebuchadnezzar, when he was a little boy, his life's dream was to destroy Jerusalem. This guy, the same thing. His life's dream, since he's a kid, destroy Jerusalem. That's his whole Geschmack and Leben, to destroy Jerusalem. And Iraq is Babel. That's Nebuchadnezzar's country. And what else with him? No one ever smiled. Under Chazal say, even Nebuchadnezzar was king, no one ever smiled. And if he put you in jail, you never came out. There were two Jewish kings who were in jail, Yechanya, Melech Yehuda, and Tzidkiah Melech Yehuda. Both of them were in there 25, 35 years. He didn't let you out. They used to torture the kings every day. You know that? He had 70 kings under him. Every day he tortured a different king until he started up with Tzidkiah. Then he got into trouble. Tzidkiah was a tzaddik. He was the last king we had. Anyway, and he started up with his own relatives. You know, when Nebuchadnezzar was in Gehenna, all the Rishayim got petrified. Hey, we need him here too? We didn't have enough of him? And he's coming down here too. They're all scared of him in Gehenna. Imagine. He was a piece. Nebuchadnezzar, Russia, wasn't Pashut. Anyway, so this Saddam Hussein considered himself. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Nebuchadnezzar lived up in some way up place. He was afraid people shouldn't get him. Whatever. I know that this guy, Saddam Hussein, lived under the ground. He had a whole palace over there under the ground with a pool, with bedrooms. I think the Germans built it for him. He had his whole figured out. No one started up with him. If anybody in the Olympic races, if an Iraqi, one of his lost the race, you know, it's a bazillion for the country. He tortured the guy to death. What's going on here? He was such a Russia. He had two sons. They say his two sons outdid him. Each one was a Russia Marusha with no feelings, no heart. Look how a person can stoop so low. What became of this person? Anyway, he was going to attack Jerusalem. And how? He had chemical warfare. You know what chemical warfare is? I think they killed cockroaches with that stuff. It's the most grotesque, horrific death you can imagine. If that stuff, he killed his own Kurds. Kurdistan is part of, this is the Mun. This is one of our illustrious members of our, that's right, we have Rabbi Yudman put out. And the Jack, but you're not near Jack. Okay, but the evidence also good. Anyway, so what happened? So So he wanted to attack Jerusalem. And the chemical, he destroyed 100,000 Kurds. Cemeteries, thousands of dead Kurds. He killed them all out, whatever reason, with chemicals. You know what that is? You know what they look like? What a torturous death they have to go through. The mouth is foaming with some purple-colored foam. Hashem Yerachem. He wanted to send that to Israel. And they had to put on gas masks. All over Israel, they're all wearing gas masks. And they were scared. I heard some people cut their beards so they'll be able to fit there. It was so scary. If that any bit of that went into you, you had to get, I think, 12 different shots. And then, it has to be done like this. And then, Halavai, we can say, I once read about it. It's crazy, complicated. The refuah, if you get some of that gas that he was going to send to Israel. And he sent 39 Scuds, these missiles. He sent 39. What did he do? So first of all, why do I want to mention this? First of all, the Mashkiach of Malikud, I mentioned it to him, and he said I was right. The biggest meifas since the Purim story is the Gulf War. It was such a meifas that you can't imagine. The Gulf War was out of this world. The nisim that happened. He sent, now first, what does he do? First, he attacks Kuwait before he's going to hit Israel. Kuwait is a tiny country that has no army, no nothing. It's not worth a dime, except it's loaded with money, with oil. Oh, wow. And if he wants oil, because he wanted to get all the oil out of Kuwait and show what a tough guy he was. And he hung Kuwaitis in the streets. And he was a Russia, a tyrant, to show who he is. And nobody's. And then America, comes to money. Now, he wanted Israel's the next stop. He's going to destroy Israel with his Scud missiles. And America, guess who was president? The senior Bush. The senior Bush, I know, P8 was an anti-Semite. Not the junior, the senior. The junior was different. The senior was a real anti-Semite. And he did not like Jews. And guess who did more than anybody for the Jews? Thank the senior Bush. He saved thousands of Jewish lives. The guy, the anti-Semite. You're afraid of Biden? You're afraid of the president? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You want to see what the Eibishter has? A ball. Hisalalti b'Mitzrayim. I'm making jokes. Eibishter's laughing at everybody. Worry. You don't worry about nothing. Don't worry about COVID. Someone just called me about COVID. I says, guarantee you, nothing. And ask anybody. I'm always right. Oh, you know how many guys that pulled out of bed? They were in 3 weeks. They couldn't talk. I said, stop the baloney. Don't read the newspapers. You'll be better. Okay, look. Now, I'm not going against the whole world saying you shouldn't put on the mask. The people, those who do it, they have see the Sherebbes that hold like that. You follow whatever they tell you to do. I'm not telling anybody what to do. But not to be afraid, that's for sure. Yes, maybe you should take precautions. I'm not getting involved in that. But to be afraid? What are you afraid of? There's an Eibishter. You have to. And by the way, your fear comes from the newspapers. The more you read, you get the wrong doctor, he'll kill you. Even if you have nothing, you want to hear case histories of people walked out of a doctor's office that had nothing wrong with them. But when the doctor was finished scaring the daylights out of them, they were dead. He can kill you by the way he talks. I had this experience myself. I had a certain condition. I went to 2 doctors. The big one that everybody ran to in Staten Island, all from me, he was the big news. He assured me, yes, you have it. I took 3 blood tests. You definitely have it. Yes, you have. I walked out of his office. I had all the symptoms of that disease. And I felt like 2 cents. And then I went to somebody here in Lakewood. I won't say his name, because I found out later he wasn't such a great doctor. But at the time I thought, he's a doctor. I went up to him and he sort of laughed off the whole thing. I walked out of he wasn't so serious about it. I walked out of his office. I was cured. How did that happen? He showed me the blood tests. You have it. You have it or you don't. You know how much is in the mind? Do you know how much is in the mind? You can't imagine. People, that's why I'm always screaming. I don't care how sick the guy is. I scream, the guy's fine. I met them all, hey, you know, I feel better. I don't know what happened. Mendel just screamed at me that I'm fine. I said, well, I'm fine. You know, the person in Novhardok, they said, a person's a kaif ba'alma. He's like a monkey. Whatever you feed him, that's going to be. You're fine, you're fine. That's why it's so important to keep telling yourself what a tzaddik you are. You might believe it, and that's going to do good things for you. When you believe you're a tzaddik, you become a different person. Anyway, don't listen to the HRs that keeps telling you you're not worth a penny. Baloney. Rebel against that stuff. Go to the extreme. Even lie, better positive line. Anyway, let's get back to the Gulf War. What a story. There was a lot of Torah written about Saddam Hussein. All the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, for some reason, first they say, it's hard to believe, but they say 100,000 Jews went to the Kaisel to daven. As soon as I heard that, I said, forget it. The guy don't stand a chance. He won't touch us. 100,000 holy Jews took a trip to the Kaisel to daven. Forget it. Saddam Hussein, you're wasting your time. Don't start it with these guys. 100,000 Jews. Goes, what are you talking? You don't forget it. Pack your bags. Retire. Get out while the going's good. 100,000 plus all the Jewish newspapers. And he was scary. We were petrified because he was a smart cookie. And America had a reputation of being a paper tiger. They're just finished with Vietnam and some other places where they try to have their influence and they got nowhere. They made fools out of themselves. They tried to make believe they won the war when they really didn't win the war. North Vietnam, right after the truce, the next day, North Vietnam climbed over the Zambian, did whatever they wanted. Oh, yes, we're at peace. So they got out with Henry Kissinger, Dalton, together with the president. Yes, we got out in peace. Yes. And what'd they get in there for? To make fools of themselves. So many American soldiers were captured over there. It was a mess. America was called a paper tiger. You're a big country, you don't do nothing. Israel! Oh, commando units, the Tzionim. Got an Assayan, the Tzionim are little tough guys. Toughest little army in the Middle East. The Tzionim. Whoa! They go straight into enemy territory, they're not scared, they kidnap this big shot who's been controlling all these suicide bombs, and they capture him, and we'll finish him off. The Israelis, blah, blah, blah. The kids are. So they had a lot of gayus, you understand. Then finally I forgot it's the Abish, what he drained the cup. Whatever. So, what happened with Saddam Hussein? He decided he's going to attack Israel. And the Israeli pilots were ready to fly. Now, they were great pilots. And they had Phantom jets. And if they go, by the way, guess who got them the Phantom jets? Another famous anti-Semite, Nixon, got them the Phantom jets. There you go. I remember I heard on the Phantoms to Israel. He said it all over everybody. Phantom. What happened to you, President Nixon? There was all Shiloh, should we give Israel? Phantoms to Israel. That was like, what happened? Because Lei Malachim. You care who's in the White House. You keep saying with your mouth, I have one president in Shemayim. I'll tell you one of my mifsim over here. Somebody calls me up, Rabbi Mendel. What happened? My daughter just went to Gateshead. And as soon as she went, they locked the doors of all these schools over there in England. The president of England said, no, schools are closing. So I said, who's the president of England? So-and-so. And so, what is who? I have a president in Shemayim. I say it's open. The next day, Rabbi Mendel, good news. They opened the doors. Because Mendel, one of my big mifsim, I decided that the Abishter is the president. You think, when you say that, you think you're just talking, you're babbling? You know, you think words are just, you can say whatever you want. I said something. Abishter heard that. He likes that.
Did they ever saying that the oil was too big in Trump? Is that what they ever saying?
That could be. This the guy, we have a tata in Shabayim. This the guy, we have a tata. You got to worry about. Sit with him and don't worry about. No, wait till you hear this story. Wait till you hear this story. Wait till you hear the key players. Okay. Saddam Hussein started with Kuwait. They used to put in his brains, and America was watching. You know, he had such a reputation. When he went to war for years and years against Iran and Iraq, killing each other by the millions. Holy wars, you know, by them, holy wars. It makes them feel important. Holy wars, Macha holy war. So, and the blood that shed, was crazy. I think America helped Saddam Hussein those days. You know, politics makes strange bedfellows, you know. Met them all. He's the bad guy, the good guy, or whatever it is. But the other guy was a Russian Marusha. Khomeini. Remember Khomeini? Not Tzaddik, Khomeini, religious leader. Anyway, but he, from Iran, anyway, so they went to the, so he said like this. So first he went to war against Kuwait. When he did that, President Nixon and President Bush didn't like that. There's a lot of money over there. You're going to take over all that money? No good. And you understand. The Welt is a Nimshal. The Welt is a Moshel. The Nimshal is Geld. You know that. It's all money. In the Novhardok, they used to say, Atavachatonu, Geld. Mikol Amim, Geld. Aftaisanu, Geld. Ratzisabano, Geld. Remam Ton Mikol Hashanah, Geld. Kiyashar Mitzri Sechar, Geld. Kiyavtar Makel Aveda Sechar, Geld. Shivcha Galam Kedishaledi Karasa, Geld. Let's get to the point. It's all Geld. So, Bekitza. There's oil. It's an oil-rich country. It's a tiny. So America says, no. It doesn't pass for them to say we want money. They said, now look, you can't conquer Kuwait. All America's worried about Kuwaitis over there. They were big Rishonim, by the way. Kuwaitis were known. They have in the telephone booths. They had stickers that said, "Give to Palestine liberation." You know those guys that shoot Israel. They had their own. You know. He had them hanging in their capital city when he arrived in Kuwait. He tortured them one by one. They got what they would deserve. Whatever. But America is not going to let this happen. There's so much money. So free Kuwait. We cannot allow a little country like Kuwait to be persecuted by Iraq. We're going to free Kuwait. And they made a whole coalition. America got together with England, France, Italy, Saudi Arabia. The whole group, we're going to fight free Kuwait together. And America's the leader. Remember when it started, the beginning of January, and nobody believed it would happen. Because America was like, I say, a paper tiger. How could they make a war? President Bush wants to go to war. He was a Republican. And the Democratic Congress, the Democrats are known to be peace-loving. They love peace. You don't go to war. Let the enemy kill you. Let him do what he wants. But you can't go to war. That's not right. No, it's not nice. You have to sit and don't do anything and let them kill you. So he had to get the Democratic Congress to agree to go to war. In the meantime, he's shooting scuds to Israel. So no, it's a fraylook. The kids, and so he said, it was all time the Eibishter did a job. Did he do a job? The Eibishter, did he do a beautiful job? He got into the brains of this Russia, Saddam Hussein, to show he's a strong man, a macho. You know, the Arabs, it's very important for them to be tough. That's part of that thing. And one of them once said, they asked him, why are you such a Mr. Tough Guy? I think it was Nasser from Egypt. He says, if I wouldn't be like this, I'm out of business, because they want Mr. Tough Guy who talks like he owns the world. You know, that's the way you have to be if you're an Arab leader. Okay, shy. So he had to show the world who he was. So there was a big, giant ship over there that was loaded with crude oil. You know what crude oil looks like? It's black. It's disgusting. It smells. We used to go, before the Verrazano, we used to go to New York along a route. We had to pass by near Staten Island, somewhere there's an oil refinery area. Every time you got there, you had to close your nose. It was terrible. Till that oil turns into golden yellow oil, it starts out with black tar, it's shrekless. You can't get near it. Anyway, so he spilled the unprocessed oil, the unrefined oil, into the Persian Gulf to show, you know, who I am. First he put the fire, all these oil wells in Kuwait to show all over the place. I'm boss around here. Burn up those oil wells. And then he goes ahead. He put mines all over the beaches of Kuwait. For years, people couldn't go to the beaches. He had mines. You step and it explodes. Hashem Yerachim. He was and the boats also in the area were in Sakana. Anyway, so what did he do? So they come to the. So what did he do? He let all that black stuff into the Persian Gulf. And the whole Persian Gulf turned black. And the wildlife was destroyed. There are pictures in all the newspapers of ducks struggling in the black, disgusting, tarish, crude oil. And fish, dead fish all over. The Persian Gulf was a whole yam. And he destroyed it. When the Democrats saw that, oh, you don't do that. That's already, oh, no. Starting up with birds. They're killing people in Kuwait and hanging them. No. People have to understand. But you start up with birds? How can you do such a thing? Start up with birds, start up with fish. Hashem Yerachim. This is the Bria. It's that. So Bush, thanks to that, although the Democrats hated Bush, and they hated war, but when that happened, Bush won by one vote. Remember, he was munching. So, are you with me on war? Are you with me on war? He had such a hard time. And he made it, I think, by 1 or 2 votes. I think one. He just made it. And he went to war. As soon as he went to war, the first thing he said was Israel was all nervous because he started to shooting scuds at Israel. He says, Israel, don't you get involved. Because the way I understood it, very simple. Israel was the big shot. With the commando units going into the enemy territory and doing these slick jobs. Where's that place of it in Africa? The place with Entebbe. Well, what Israel, the Ganzaknakis, they know how to fight. Israelis are fighters. They know how to fight. Americans, so America didn't like that. North Vietnam, you lost the war, you messed up. America didn't like that. COVID. So, COVID-19 and COVID-18, it's all covered. So America says, no, Israel, get back into those jet planes. They're waiting to go to war. The Israeli pilots, the best pilots in the world, they're well-trained, years of training. These young, energetic, Zionistic guys were about to go fly over Iraq and drop some good bombs. I myself saw in the 6-Day War the Israeli mirages. Those days didn't have phantoms. I was looking from my window, a rooftop, I think it was. I saw myself the way they bombed Jordan, the positions where the smoke goes up. They zigzag. They look like balls of fire in the air. It's negative. This is not a regular plane. This is a fighter bomber. This plane is the zigzag. They don't want the anti-aircraft to get them. They go like this, and they zigzag. Next minute, you see smoke coming up, and they're zigzagging. They go there. Next, you go next. And I saw smoke going up all over the place. And one, if a ball of fire, like this, a jet. This is just a battle. This is just a war. This is not this is not. Come inside, everybody. Enjoy. Come inside. We're talking about the Gulf War. You're gonna have a ball over here. This is not shaykh. Anyway, so so what happened? So they kept fighting, and they kept fighting. And what happened? They're shooting scuds to Israel, and America is telling Israel, don't get involved in this war. We're gonna go fighting. You keep out. And it was that week of Beshalach where it says, we learned about Hashem Yilachem Lachem Atem Tacharisha. Don't do anything. We're doing it. So we were pata. You know what they would do to an Israeli pilot if he jumped out, and if they shot down a plane, and he came down with his parachute. You know what You know what they would do to him? Hashem Yirachem. And they couldn't go. They wanted to go. America says, we're going. So in all the newspapers and all the televisions, they had pictures of pilots who were captured. Remember, there's a British guy, the whole world was talking about him. He looked so terrible. They captured him, the Iraqis. You know what Iraqis do with prisoners? So Israelis were put. Anyway, in the meantime, the Scuds came flying to Israel. And inside of them, luckily, wasn't chemicals, but that whatever it is, it's a bomb. You know what happened? There wasn't one death. One person was killed. Yehudah, Machal Shabbos V'Hesya, who got himself a banger. Don Segel said he got his kapar, he got his skila. He got a bang and he hit the wall. He was dead. Machal Shabbos. He was a renegade against his. He lived in Bnei Brak. He went against his parents, became a guy. But outside, nobody got killed. I saw pictures in all the newspapers where all the homes were smashed. They all. Now this is Ramat Gan and Tel Aviv. Bnei Brak, nothing happened to Irat Torah. You know that? Now I want to tell you, before the war started, all the Bnei Brak Rosh Yeshivas, they were having a ball. There was so much bטחון going on. They were writing things. They were making gematrias with Saddam Hussein's name, how he's not worth a penny, and we won already. The bטחון was everywhere. A lot of the fun, there's a lot of funny stuff. Rabbi Yohanan tribe Chaim Kanevsky said, "Oh, the gas mask, save it for Purim." Everybody else said they were laughing at it. It was bטחון all over the place. The Yidden simply weren't scared, except for me. I was scared here like crazy. I had my daughter was there, my son-in-law, and I was petrified. And I davened my head off, and I saw as soon as I finished davening, things started getting better. So I'm taking credit for the whole thing. But later I found out there were some more people who also get credit. But I thought I was the whole hero for many years until recently somebody told me, "Basically, your Rebbe also did what you did." Oh, anyway, I'm sure everybody did it. But everybody should take credit. That's what I hold. Everybody has to take credit. I'm the guy that made Yeshua. Anyway, then you'll feel good. By the way, my class, I had on the blackboard, I had pictures of missiles. When the kids davened good, boys, we're going to win the war. And I put pictures of missiles next to the names of the boys in my class. Pictures of missiles, and daven hard, and boom. And right after we finished davening, I called up, what's the latest news? They just wiped them out. They just killed some more Iraqis. You know, it always fit in. Like I was controlling, remote control. The war was I was the man doing the job. The Baal bטחון. Yeah, bטחון, you're in charge. And guess who's helping you win? Not one person should get killed. And guess who's helping you win? Who's this president, the biggest anti-Semite? And who is the general? Schwarzkopf. Schwarzkopf was as big as a bear, tall, big, heavy fellow. He was a 5-star general, an anacle of Nazis. He was the guy that saved Israel. Thank you so much, General Schwarzkopf, for saving us. So you got one anti-Semite, another one, an anacle of Nazis. Then we got a fellow named Mitchell. He was a speaker of the minority. There's a speaker of what did he call him? The minority leader. There was the State of the Union address. President Bush got up and made a whole drasha about what was going on. So the minhag is what he leaves out, the minority leader, he tells them, no, you left out this. So this Mitchell told them off. Israel was our best friend. You know who that Mitchell was? An anacle from Arabs in Lebanon. That's Mitchell. That's who how do you like that one? So we have 3 of the 3 players. Guess who made us win? You're afraid who the president is? It was my nafkamina. If you focus only on the Eibishter, and you're don't be afraid of nobody. Be afraid of the Eibishter. You know, the Saddam Hussein was scary. They were so scared of him. You know what he did, this Chaverman? He had 12 people get plastic surgery. They should look exactly like him. So just in case somebody tries to assassinate him, they'll get the wrong Saddam Hussein. There's 12 of them. So you got it. So he had them walking around, and their life was in constant sakana because they look exactly like him. They had plastic surgery, and they told a story of once where he went ahead and he had a parade in Baghdad. He had a parade, and there were these 12 limousines were going down the road, and they were marching. And where was the real? These 12 guys were all Saddams, fake Saddams. Nobody knew who the real one was. So where was the real one? They say behind the whole parade there was a bus, and the bus driver was the real guy. He was watching the whole parade. They were petrified of him. He was a ganze Kluge. Boy, they did a job on him. They finally got him. And all those scuds, nothing, they didn't explode. There was Nisim. And the end, they didn't have to go to war, they didn't have to do anything. And Nosson Bachfeigel, I mentioned it, and he said it was 100% true. This was the biggest nest since the Nest Purim. I remember this week, Beshalach, when he came out, the president said, Israel, don't do nothing, we're going to do everything. And that was Hashem, Yilachem, Lachem, Atem, Tacharisha. It was Murdik. David said, let the guy, and 36 studs was 39. That's Malchus, they make such. It was Murdik, it was not Namal. So that's the thing, it's a mitzvah to talk about it. Now I tell you, when you talk about Yetzias Mitzrayim, your whole life, you come into your house, everybody say, I had a brother-in-law. His name was Martha Feda, Belzakos. Tzaddik Yisrael, never saw a woman in his life. Real tzaddik. In his house, all he said was, Tzigit, 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 Tzigit. That's all he said. And that's what you got to say your whole life. What do you talk about when you come home? What happened here? You want to show how smart you are? You know what happened to so-and-so? This guy got killed. What are you going to, who's the president? You walk into your house and you say, it's so good to be alive. I'm home, I have 2 feet and they're working, and the hands and the heart and the lungs. I'm so happy to be alive. You got to sit on that your whole life. Rabbi Isaac says, I'll call Neshima Talok on every breath. You have to sing hollow to Hashem. Every breath, sing! It says Rabbi Isaac Sher, God's hollow, you got to say. The Rebbe had an issue. I have that issue too, by the way. I really do. I have an issue in my life. I also have issues. Why should I be left out? Everybody's busy. They call me up day. You want to know my latest issues? I never talk about them. Bashita. You want to hear some gory stories, what's going on? About weird, all kinds of machlis and relationship. Zachen, this guy just called me up. No, I will not say any details. Why? Because I don't think it's fair. You're going to see a wrong picture of what the world's all about. You're going to see how terrible the world is. This problem, but it's exciting. People, I'm going to be an interesting guy. I'm going to get a lot of covered for telling you, Miskabed Bakalain Chavera. Hey, that's what I say it is. You have to tell other people stories that makes you happy. The volcano over there in Mount Washington, and you hear about the landslide, the mudslide there in South America. And how about the hurricane? There was a tsunami. That's all you can talk about. Only kidnapping. And then this guy, Nebuch. You don't have this so-and-so. That's what people love. That COVID. You know how much it's killing? Do you know that they said, I don't know the statistics right now, rather there is someone supposed to come here soon to say a few words to get the Elam a little bit. There's going to be an Atzeres and Tefillah for Yin and there, so people are dying, but we want to daven for them, 100%. But the first time when people ask me about COVID, what do you say about COVID? COVID-19, you're asking an Novherdigo what he thinks of COVID. Wait, that's COVID in Metzinas, Adam and Olam. But I said, I'm too busy talking about health. I'm too busy talking about this guy's, all the hearts are working here, Baruch Hashem. No. All the lungs, the stomach, it's great news. You know what stomachs can do? They can get a hold of Jack's. I want to get money from Jack Daniels. He gives man. Jack, I did more for Jack than anyone else. But now I'm going to say something. Jack's going to disown me. I poked like vodka better than Jack. Don't tell Jack what I just said now. Now it's over. You just blew it. You could have been against it. Anyway, I'm joking. You have to be so happy to be alive. Every minute you're alive, you can see, you can talk, and the Eibishter gives so much nisim. Don't record. Listen to this. I don't say too much Torah around here. You want to hear my Torah? Get a hold of Bטחון weeklies. They're packed. All my stuff is in there. But you want to hear a little vod, I'll tell you. Yosef HaTzadik, when he was standing with that Nasayan, and they want his Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik was about to. He had Eishes Potiphar in front of him. What saved him? He saw a picture of his father who loved him. He called Bonov. Remember your 10 brothers who tried to sell you, who hated you? They weren't kids. They were Gedolei Yisrael. You know, these people were giants. The one who sold you, Yehuda, you know who he was? A Malach Hashem Tzvakais. You know what Yisachar was? Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad. You know who Shimon and Levi were? They were kids. They held your apostle, Yossi, out of the family. Death sentence. Now, how would you like it if the whole Jewish world has just disowned you and decided the death penalty you deserved, and by lucky streak, they sold you as a slave for 20 pieces of, how much did he cost? It was a bazillion how little they sold him for. That made it even worse, his whole matzah. To Mitzrayim, Makam, Shtufe Zima. That's what they, look what they did. Look what they did to him. I'm asking a question. Did Yosef HaTzadik walk around thinking about the past or not? I know one thing. His first son, his name was Menashe. Kinashani Elikimi. Forget, thank you for making me forget all my tzaras. That's what he named him. No? What do you say to that one? He didn't remember the Shvatim hating him. He wasn't into that stuff. You ruined my life. When I was a child, what you did to me, I can't forget that. That was traumatic. Now, I want to say something. There are people who need to remember their past. You need an Adam chash of a person to decide how to deal with it. Half the people I know are kvetching about something that happened when they were younger. And because of this, I'm this. And because of that, I'm that. So I want to tell you something. What did they say in Novhardok about that? Now, should you think, sometimes it's kedai. I don't want to get involved. Why? It's not for here. I can tell privately why some people should get involved in the negative part of the past. Sometimes they need to do that. There's reasons for it. But Yosef HaTzadik forgot all that stuff. But he remembered his father loved me. That's all I remember. And that saved him. He was positive. He didn't tell Eishes Potiphar, you want me to do this sin? Do you know what's going to happen to me if I do this sin? Your husband's going to throw me in jail, which is exactly what happened. He didn't say that. Why didn't he say that? Why didn't he say that? That would have been the obvious thing. I don't want to get thrown in jail. I'll tell you why. He simply wasn't afraid. Afraid of jail? Me? I don't know what fear means. When she told him, you know, I'm going to break your back. That's not a problem. Hashem zekif kefufim. I'm going to blind you. That's no problem. Hashem pakech ivrim. I'll sing again. Hashem will take care of that one. I'll throw you in jail. That's no problem. Hashem matir asurim. So he said openly, I'm not scared of that stuff. Yosef HaTzadik was not afraid of being thrown in jail. Right? And he was not afraid. So what did he say? Einenu garla babayis is many. There's nobody in this house better than me. I can't do that stuff. See the way he thought his whole life. The dreamer, I'm taking over the world. He kept those dreams going his entire life until they came true. When he was in jail, he was big. He was the big shot. When he played Potiphar, I'm the biggest. He talked to Hashem every move he made. So He was a major success, and he remembered his success. That's all he talked about. Think positive, talk positive, be happy, don't look for trouble. Anybody want to hear some of my latest mifsim? You want to hear something? I told this to somebody. I told somebody that he had a job, a temporary job, with somebody he had to meet with regularly. I don't remember the details, but it wasn't simple. This person was mamish. You're dealing with an animal you hate. It's so hard to work with him, and I don't know what to do. It's driving me nuts. I told him like this, listen to me. You have to work on your own midos. You have to work on your own midos. Forget about the guy. Do the job. And he said, I hate working there. No. Learn to give in. I told him all the Novandiga stuff. Novandigas always believe I'm wrong. I'm the wise guy over here. And just work on your own cause and give in to the guy and be down on the cops. But he acts like such an animal. Be down on the cops because he's a good guy. He doesn't mean it. And he really likes you. Don't look at him again. But he said this. Hey, he talks like that to his wife too. No, it's nothing. Don't take him. I don't remember the details, but that's basically. He calls me up. He never had such a good time in his life. Everything worked like Gan Eden. Because he was busy working on his midas, and he started enjoying working this person and the schus that he overcame his midas. He got another job, a permanent job that he wanted, unexpected. This is what happens. Now, I want to tell you something. I don't want to get into details, but people are calling me left and right. Listen to this, and they're telling me, Rabbi Mendel, we need a yeshua. There's something wrong. Here, there, health, family issues. Can you help us? I asked him a question. This happened. One after another, this happened. Did you ever call me before? Yes, we did. How long ago? A year ago. What happened? You had an issue then too? Oh, yes, it was terrible. And what happened? Well, right after your bracha, everything turned around. I promise you, this happened one after another. And serious problems. Overnight. You gave a bracha. Now, what are you calling me for me to help you out with your next problem? You didn't say a word about your past. Now, you want to say, how about saying, I don't talk the way I'm talking to you. I'm not as mean to people. Because I know we're all the same. You can't have tightness on nobody. I, be'emes, have no tightness on these people. Because we are all, it's very, very, very hard to be truly grateful and to remember the good part of your life. It just goes over your head. You don't have a head. Your head's totally involved in your next issue. Whoever's calling me, I know what they're calling. All the people, I know them like a book. Guess what happened wrong today? Now, wait a minute. What about those 10 mifsim you had last week? Yes. What about those 10 mifsim? Now, if they're not telling it to me, it happened one after another. It was Taka Mifis Goli. So I said, why don't you talk about that all day? Davis to sees you're thankful for all the good things he does to you. He's going to continue. When you tell a student, you have a boy in your class. I'm an educator. You tell the student, do you know you don't do well? You made a lot of mistakes on that last test. You're not a good student. Next time he takes a test, what's going to be? He's going to be all right, or he's going to give up. And when you encourage a child, you tell him you're doing such a beautiful job, and you tell him only positive. He feels good, and he's going to go for the Kavi Yochel the Abish. There's the same way the Zohar HaKadosh says, but by Haggadah Shel Pesach, my dear Rabbi Isaiah, Haggadah Shel Pesach. What do you say that for? Abish, you did this. Abish, you did that. You're so wonderful. You know what that does? That makes Hashem do much more good things. Every time Jews say the Haggadah, they're turning over the world. They're bringing goodness throughout the Bria. You walk into your house and you talk about the goodness in your life. I'm lifting this hand. I'm calling my wife. Rebbetzin. Yes. Do you know what's happened just now? What? I lifted this hand. And look, the fingers are all working. And, oh, this one too. Hey, I could put on, I don't have Chas v'Shalom. There was a Yid, his name was Rabbi Khan, Zatzal. And his lady he went to Chevron, an American who went to Chevron. A sweetie, was he a delicious person. He never had a stroke. Half his body was like, I once saw in the street, his wife had to run over to him and do everything. He couldn't do nothing, never. He told me he woke up one morning and half his body stopped working for the rest of his life. I don't like to talk about such stories, but I have to. Every time you get up, say thanks a million. Everything's moving and working. I'm breathing. The heart's moving. It's great. Mr. Thanks a million. And say it all day long. Don't stop with that. Bishop Rebbe said, what was his issue? How do you thank Hashem enough? I can't thank you enough, Abishter. There's so much going. People get lost, sidetracked. Yeah, but now we have parnasa. We understand. People have nisyonis. You can't judge other people. No way. Let them kvetch. So they're not talking Lashon Hara. Nothing wrong with kvetching. No. Some people feel good when they kvetch. No, I'm going to stick up for all the kvetches in the world. But I just want to say it's preferable not to do that. All kvetches, all right, we understand, we're all the same. You kvetch without realizing it. You know that you kvetch, your brain is full of, what happened yesterday? Did I make a good impression? Most of the kvetcherai is covered. Am I making a good impression on this guy? This guy looks like he's falling asleep on me. Hey, you guys inside the Torah anytime, are you guys taking out pillows just because I can't see you? You're going to be doing that stuff behind my back? You think, I'm joking. You think I don't have Ruach HaKodesh? I know exactly how many people are watching me. I'm staggering. I'm a great guy over here. Hey, all you guys, you think I don't know that you guys are snoring on me? And this time your son didn't come along to hear me? How come he didn't come this time? He was absent. Hey, my cover's at stake. I got to tell my wife how things are going. Terrible. The guys don't like me anymore. People who are into covet, that's what it's all about. I was in my class recently, and in comes a photographer to see Rabbi Mendel with his students. So I walked over, my kids ran over to me, and I'm holding their hands, and they're cuddling, and they're smiling, and I'm looking like a real great guy, and like a Shmaka Rebbe over here. And I picture, I'm going to be in the newspapers tomorrow with the other Rebbe, with this Rebbe. They all look the same. They all look like the world's, great. And I picture one of the Rabbim who just yesterday told me, Rabbi Mendel, the chutzpah that these kids have. Rabbi Mendel, I can't deal with them. I go home every night and my pillow is wet and the kids, but in the picture, and everyone's looking at the picture. Ooh, who's that really smiley kid? Oh, that's the kid that's never failing. He's going to be left back next year. Oh, people are living in Dimion. They don't live with the truth. They look at pictures in the Yated pictures. Look at him. They're all at the best behavior. They're all smiling. And you think all the lucky guys are the Nebuch. You know how much Nebuchs are going on with them? They don't tell you. Envy is ignorance. Don't fall for that stuff. I am the luckiest guy in the world. The Elam is serving this stuff. My mouth is watering for some more mashke here. Let's get some, we'll get some of this. L'chaim, Rabotai. One l'chaim of me, bourbon, is going to bring great things for everybody. Be'ez Hashem. Give everybody a bracha. Give me a bracha that my track record with Meifsim should skyrocket. I don't know how much better it could get. I'm already batting 1,000. Like, I'm a Rebbe, I'm an Admor of Admorim. I'm serious. You want to know how many cases I had that? Every day I get called. I get one after another, thanks a million, everything's fine, or big improvement. This happens all day long. I'm going to tell you one of my secrets. If something is not successful, no one's ever going to hear about it. Eli Heidu Melech Olam, Shakel Midvari. L'chaim, Tov. You want me to stop? That's enough. Speaking my head off already. Pleasure to see you guys. And I give every